10, 9.
You want answers? I want the truth!
Get ready for two guys who can't handle the truth.
I want the truth! You can't handle the truth!
But we can. Dave Palumbo, Chris Aceto. RxMuscle.com presents Heavy Muscle Radio. Watch out!
Welcome to another episode of Heavy Muscle Radio. I'm Dave Palumbo, and I'm joined, as always, by the technician, Chris Aceto, on this, what is today's date? September 23rd, 2019?
Something like that.
Crazy.
I had your problem tonight, Dave. I had the Palumbo problem.
But you have babies, just like I do.
Yeah, I couldn't get you said 10 minutes. I said 10 minutes. I can't get the baby to sleep.
Yeah, Chris was like, when are we going to do the show? When are we going to do the show? And I'm like, I can't get my kids to sleep. And then I'm like, all right, 10 minutes. He's like, I need 15 minutes.
Yeah.
20 minutes. Well, you're babysitting. You have I can't even believe that your wife left you with the baby. There's no way Amanda would do that. Would leave you.
My wife left. She didn't leave me. She just left temporarily.
She went off.
She went to an island with my 5-year-old.
Yeah.
A 6-year-old.
She doesn't think that you'll forget the baby somewhere or something like that? Are you allowed to leave the house while she's gone?
Oh yeah, I've gone. We went down to the beach today.
You took the baby in the car seat and everything like that.
I took the baby down to the beach and get him, because my goal was to wipe him out so that I could do the radio show tonight, and it didn't work. He got energized. And so I couldn't get him down for the radio show, so I had to call in the 14-year-old and say, "Take over."
And he got him to sleep. Yeah.
He's my 14-yearolds can do. I told you he could run species. He probably could do contest prep with 3. I probably could show him this is what flat full is, water. This is what depleted looks like. Right. And he'd probably in 3 days he'd have 400 clients.
That's and they do well too, probably.
Yeah, no, because he's brilliant.
Would he steal your notes? Would he steal all your notes?
No, he's just listen. That Wayfair furniture. Remember you said you got stuff from Wayfair?
Yes.
I put together something on Wayfair. It took me a dresser, and it took me 2.5 hours. No kid, he did his in 45 minutes. We're in different rooms.
Oh, ordering it? You mean online?
Yeah, you order it and it comes in 10,000 pieces.
Yeah.
And you have these little directions and these little dowels.
You didn't pay them to put it together for you?
I did not pay the first time. Now I would. I will always pay.
Yes, it's worth it. Definitely. Don't cheap out on that. I figure, how much money could I have made if I would have spent that time, answering clients' emails and
how much frustration could have you saved yourself? Just Of
course. So now that we've had over a week to digest the whole Olympia experience, what's your? Have you changed your mind on anything?
No, I think we were pretty consistent. I think the consistent show was last week, where I think I gave my opinion the best that I saw it. Of course, it's an opinion because some people, their opinion is different than mine, but it's the way I saw it. And it is what it is. What I think settled in a little bit, even more, is the J.M. Mannion quote. I thought of it twice during the week when he said a lot of people passed. A lot of people passed up, or there were a lot of opportunities missed.
Yeah.
And that's the way it is, Well, Kamal took advantage of that opportunity. He
sure did. Yeah, he sure did. Did you see that when Hadi got home to Iran, they had a parade for the guy? They had
someone tagged me on that, and I liked it. And it ended up being Hani Rambod, so I tried to unlike it.
They had they were lifting him up in the air like he won the Super Bowl. I told you.
Like NASCAR. It was like when you win NASCAR and they put the roses around your neck.
Well, I told you, in Iran, bodybuilding is one of the number one sports. So of course, if you do so well, they're gonna basically celebrate that. The fact that they should be celebrating the fact that he even got into the United States. That to me was a much bigger victory than actually placing third at the Olympia.
Yeah, it's Well, look what's the chaos that's going on this week with
I know.
Iran and
He's lucky,
Saudi.
he's lucky.
I mean, it's a feel-good story.
Yeah, no, I think it's great. A lot of
You
people
know why
think
it's a feel-good story?
he
Dave,
should have won
Dave.
the Olympia.
Well, outside of the idea that he could have won the Olympia, because he could have. Outside of that idea, what was very nice about the show is, Iran has been, like, for some reason, public enemy number one since Jimmy Carter was in office, since speed limit when I was a kid got turned down to 55 miles an hour. That was under the Carter administration. And that idea that Iranians are the other or the bad people has been pervasive since I was a kid. And Hadi showed up at the Olympia, and people loved him.
Well, I don't think the Iranian people are bad. I think some of the government
I know,
policies are bad. I mean, that's where that's taken from. I mean, I don't.
No, you're right. You're right, but
you can't condemn a whole nation for that. I mean,
I know that, but what gets swept up and what unfortunately people get marked, if Dave Palumbo, you having a guest this week? Yeah, where are they coming from? You staying at your house? Oh, you tell your neighbors they're from Italy.
Right.
Where's your neighbors from? They're Iranians. There's a different reaction.
Right.
So
point being, maybe Hadi didn't really like Americans until he came here and realized, holy shit, this place is freaking great.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Because we would let him in the country, So he probably was pissed off.
At the bodybuilding show, when it came down to who the people liked, he won the People's Champion Award.
Yeah.
They liked him.
And there's a hell of a lot more Americans who were voting on than Iranians that were voting. So the American people voted for Hadi to be the people's champion.
Oh, I didn't. That's right. I didn't.
Think about it. I mean, unless all the Chinese people chimed in, but that's the only people who are more. The thing is, and we've always said this: bodybuilding kind of crosses all these barriers. We don't care. We just want to see who the best physiques are, really.
Yeah,
it's historically always been like that. My biggest thing is that when I get people who have complicated names, I'm like, I hope this guy is not going to be good on. When I'm critiquing people, I'm like, I'm looking at the complicated. I'm like, I hope this guy doesn't turn out to be actually a good bodybuilder, right? Because I have to learn his name. That right. Think about it when Nasser El Somebody came on the scene. Everyone's like, who is this guy? What's his name? It was difficult.
Yeah.
It was a name that we weren't used to.
Hidetada
Yamagishi, right? It was.
Yeah. Who else has got the complicated names?
There's been some. What about?
Back in the day, Schwarzenegger was supposedly difficult for people to pronounce, right?
What about Blessing Awabadu, the boogeyman? Right?
Yeah, that's a tough one to pronounce.
I had to practice that one. What's his name? Chikawi up there in Canada too. Classic physique guy.
We'll have to get Hansen on to come up with a list, like the book of lists, top 10 names that are hardest to pronounce who are great bodybuilders for the last 20 years.
Muhammad McQuay. How about him? He wasn't easy, I'm sure, back in the day.
The original Egyptian, right?
Yeah. If you think about it, there's a lot of good Egyptian bodybuilders. There must be a good genetic gene pool there. That's where the aliens came down, I guess. From
yeah, I knew you were going to say that, Dave. It's the genes are, you got the pyramids, you got the aliens, scrolls.
So who are the good Egyptians? You had Muhammad Makaway. We had Nasser. Rami is Egyptian.
Hassan.
Yeah, Hassan.
Tarek El-Stoui was good.
Tarek was good, yeah.
I'm sure there's a giant list.
I'm sure we're missing a lot of people, yeah. One of our listeners, I'm sure, will send me the list.
Well, you should just send a text over to John Hansen. Say, give me the top 5.
If I want the best Jewish bodybuilders of all time, all I got to do is ask Mike Zeltzer. He'll tell me that.
Yeah,
I know Mike's listening.
According to who is it? Who is a photographer who used to photograph you all the time? Irvin Gelb says Jay. He always says Jay is Jewish.
Because of his business savvy?
No, because of his Jason. Jay Cutler. I don't know. It's there's.
It's Jason Cutler. Yeah, it is Jason. Right. That's funny. It's Irvin Gelb. Dave Lieberman was Jewish, right? He's a Jewish bodybuilder. I'm a half Jewish bodybuilder, so I'm technically, and my mother was Jewish, so I'm a Jewish bodybuilder. You can put me in there. What's his name? Used to Amit Sapir.
Sapir, yeah.
He's a good Jewish body. Was he Jewish? I know he's Israeli. Was he Jewish? I guess he must have been.
Yeah, but I'm guessing.
Wow, that's
There
allowed.
goes my phone.
That's allowed.
Oh, speaking of the Egyptian, this is Hassan sending me a picture.
Oh, well. Now, is it true that Phil, your tenant with the bed bugs, is out? Was he taken away in an ambulance, right?
Yeah, and he's in the hospital, and he called me from the hospital, and I wondered if I had a fiduciary responsibility as a taxpayer to tell the hospital that he's been in a
Bed bug
building
infested
for the last 20 years that for 14 years has had on and off bed bugs.
So now, is he officially out of there, or what's the deal?
He is out, but his stuff is there, and he's asked me to store it. I think he has to go to like a rehab. I don't really know what's going on, other than I hear from tenants. You know, people are, of course, people who he gives a hard time to.
Yeah, they must be.
They actually like him so much. They wonder. That's a true story. Where he is.
Wow. Well, he was like the mayor of the building there. Now,
Yeah.
the funny thing is that you just redid his whole apartment. So if he actually leaves, you'll probably be able to rent it. It was a good move on your part.
Yeah, he didn't ultimately. He had a lot of critical remarks about the renovation.
Maybe he could be like your broker to get you. He can fill the apartment slot. He can take he can interview people for you to see if they're adequate to fill his apartment. What about the woman who thought that there was? What did she see? A ghost or something like that through the door?
She saw a. She looked through a keyhole.
Right.
She saw
A secret room, right?
Yeah, she saw a secret room. She's just nosy. She looked through a keyhole, like a skeleton keyhole, and saw a closet.
Oh, Chris, you with all those secret rooms in those apartments, man. That's where you're stashing all your money, right?
Yeah. She saw a ghost, something. I sent you that message.
Yes, yeah. They're very amusing. Now, unfortunately, we're not going to be able to really talk about who won the Italy show because it hasn't happened yet. We're doing this. We recorded a day early because Chris and I have young children who we have to work around their schedule.
Well, I got that, and then on Monday, if we do it Sunday, like till 2 a.m, Mondays, I'm up crazy early, bringing my son to the bus to.
Oh, is that what this whole thing is about? I thought this was because your wife's away.
No, that too. No, that too, of course, because she's gonna. I want to give her time when she comes in. Men take notes.
Let me ask you this question.
Give your wife their time.
Yeah.
And they will give you twice back.
Happy wife, happy life. I understand the saying ever since I got married and had kids. Didn't understand it before that. Now, why? Let me ask you this question. Back in the day, after the Olympia, they'd have this whole European tour. Up until recently. I mean, remember when I sent you and I forget who, Aaron and Johnny, whoever was working at the time. I mean, you guys went to like 5 different locations.
Yeah.
And nowadays, it seems like there's one. John Enrico had the Yamamoto Cup in Italy this weekend, which I guess was technically, 2 weeks after the Olympia? Yeah.
Is it 2 or 1?
Oh, it's 1 week. I didn't go to the Olympia. Yeah, it's 1 week later. So it's kind of like, I guess, a European tour. I mean, how hard is it to hold on for 1 more week, right? And yet there's 9 guys in the show. And one of those guys is Stan DeLongo, who's a classic guy who's doing the Open. So it's really you're getting like, actually it's 8 guys, and then you lose, I don't count him, so that's really 7 guys. And the only 2 good guys in the whole lineup is Ruli Winkler and Nathan Diasha. And Nathan missed the Olympia because he had the court case he had to settle, some possession of steroids, that he was involved in, and he wanted to make sure he was sentenced and he was there on time, which was, I guess, smart. He theoretically, from what I understand, from what he reported, he didn't get any jail time. I think he just got probation, so that was good for him. And Ruli is the only guy doing the show. What's the deal with that?
Well, you know what?
Why wouldn't Hottie go do the show?
I don't know, but what I can say is that keep in mind. The Olympia had 16 guys. They've made it really tough to qualify for the Olympia now.
I love it. There should only be 16 guys.
Before you would get lots and lots and lots. Like just go back to you could have 20-something guys in the show. Yeah. So if you're a promoter after the show and you want to have a show in in England, for example, or here in Italy, and you can invite 28 guys who are just in shape, maybe 19 show up.
What I'm saying is, why isn't Bonac doing? Why aren't these guys all battling it out 1 week later in Italy? I mean, it would have been a great
That's a good
show.
point. I have no idea. Maybe, yeah, who knows?
I mean, Ruli's doing it, which I think is a smart move, so he can requalify for next year, so he doesn't have to compete. But I mean, Nathan obviously was pissed that he had to miss the Olympia, so this is a good excuse for him to. Man, Hadi Shupin Hadi's a big shot. He's always he's 30. Do the freaking Italy show too. You might as well. What the hell? Collect a little prize money here.
Well, he's already beaten Crazy, right?
He would easily walk through this show. If he beat Rulli already, I mean, why was he going to lose from him now?
Yeah.
It would have been a great rematch. And Bonac should have done it too.
Get Bonac on the phone. Call him
get him up. Get on here. And what's his name should have done it? Ramy should have done it. Although I hear Ramy's announced he's doing the Arnold now.
Yeah.
He's committed. Are you involved in that at all, or what?
No, they called Patrick Moore to do the Arnold today.
Oh, they did.
Yeah.
No, I'm saying, are you involved with Ramy at all? I know Ramy had been calling you.
No.
Who's helping him now? Is it George? That's what I heard.
I don't know. Maybe the doctor who helped Dexter for prejudging, but not for the finals.
Is that what George said? George wasn't responsible for prejudging, only for finals. He helped him.
No, he told me someone. I don't know. I think Dexter's doctor prescribed him something for an allergy or something for prejudging.
And I'm surprised Dexter's not doing it. Go for number 30 here.
Yeah, he may. You know what I mean? He may.
He's not in the.
I mean, I think Dexter put a lot. Seems like he put a lot, into the show. Yeah. Maybe obviously puts a lot into every show. Just because you have the non-aging genetics doesn't mean that you don't work your ass off. He was
fourth. He was fourth. I mean, we're making a joke out of it, but he was.
No, I know. But I'm saying he put. I think he laid it on the line for the show. He trained the entire year for the show.
Right.
And he looked crazy. 9 months out from the show, not 9 weeks.
Yeah. Back in the day, he would have done it, but I guess he has got nothing to prove at this point. I think it was a missed opportunity for a lot of guys here.
Well, that's Jam's. Is Jam's?
Yeah, that's right.
That's his tagline: "Missed opportunity."
Why isn't Steve Kuklo doing the show?
Wow,
he could Juan Morel and Akeem Williams.
1, 2, De La Rosa. They all should
have got the whole lineup there. The whole top 10 should have been in this show. There's no reason. It's not like there's 5 shows. There's one show, and then they're done.
Well, what's going to happen is people will be complaining in 3 years that there's no shows.
Yeah, exactly. And then when the promoters say it's because you guys don't do the shows, we're not going to hold them.
Yeah.
Breon Ansley, I see, is doing the classic. He's got to be pissed off because he lost to Bumstead. So he's looking for some retribution. Chris Cormier lost his mind online after that show. Did you see that?
Chris lost his mind where?
After the Olympia. He did? He went on a rant, on a tirade on Instagram. I think he took it down, though, but he was pissed off.
He'll probably be pissed because last week I had... we reviewed the show, and I had... I'm impressed with Bumstead. I'm impressed like crazy with Peterson and Breon, too, but...
My prediction is Peterson we won't see him in Classic anymore. I think he's going to do 212.
I think you're probably right. Move up to 212. He'll probably do really well.
He first of all, of anyone in that lineup, he was the best in terms of conditioning. He nailed it. That was the best he's ever looked.
Without a doubt.
He can't look any better than that. So because he can't look any better than that, he can only be third, and he's only third in the world, which is not a bad thing. He should just move up. There's nowhere to go. He can gain 10 pounds of muscle in the other class and probably challenge for the 212 title.
I think you're right. I mean, he's dangerous and very dangerous, and it comes.
He's got a Kamal-like physique to him.
Not really, but
yeah, he's. I think he can challenge Kamal with 10 more pounds of muscle on his body.
With 10 pounds, yeah.
He can grow. He's been holding himself back. Imagine him at 210, on stage. rather than 192.
No, he'd be very impressive.
Because I see the videos they put up when he's at like 202 and he looks amazing.
Yeah.
So, it might take him a year or two to to start really establishing himself in there. But I think that he could be a good 212 guy. He might as well. I mean, he's got the physique. He's got no gaps in his body. He's got no weak body parts or anything like that. So we'll see. We'll see what he does. I that's my prediction. He's going to move up. So now what's Stan DeLongo? Stanimal, he's going open, huh?
Yeah, Stan is Stan has to give up, like a lot of people, a lot of not, Stan to make 207. Stan doesn't give up roundness and fullness like water. He gives up muscle tissue.
Yeah.
So, some people can do this. They can compete at 207, but they float around 5 weeks out at 214, and they still got a couple pounds to lose, and they suck it down to 207, and then they carve up to 209. I mean, Stan's really impressive at 224.
Gotcha.
Like legit, very, very
That's
hard.
a big difference. Yeah, it's a big
207 to 224. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's almost nuts.
Because you know me, Dave. You know me.
You like to suck guys down. Yeah,
No, I do this. Oh, I knew that. You have to be 207. Oh yeah, don't worry, I knew that. Really, saying, oh, you look tremendous, and then Stan says, I got to weigh 207, right? And I forget.
You forget. No,
I know that. How many? What do we got? 7 weeks? No, we got 12 days.
we have Chris. We have 24 hours. Oh, okay, no problem. Cut the sodium. Yeah, that's. So we'll see. We'll see how that show works out. I have a feeling that Rulli will walk out of there with the victory on that one. I don't think he's going to lose the Yamamoto Cup. We'll have to report on that during the week. They had that Asian Grand Prix going on right now too.
Yep.
That's a big classic and men's physique lineup there. Although I don't see a lot of big guys in that lineup too. Why wouldn't Bumstead go out there as the new Olympia champ and collect a paycheck?
Why wouldn't there's
those men's physique guys who went there last year told me that they made a fortune out there.
There's a lot of people who didn't place in the top 3 who could collect some money out there.
Yeah,
maybe they got to pay their own way. I don't know. Do they have to pay their own way? It's expensive to fly.
I have a feeling if you're a top marquee guy, they'll probably fly you in. I think a lot of these guys are lazy. They don't want to get on an airplane.
Well, maybe they got to check their Instagram all week. I don't know.
When I was competing, I would anyone who told me you want to get on an airplane they were paying.
You mean traveling for I can? You mean I can go eat food and train somewhere else and get paid to do it? I'll be there, right?
I would do it for nothing, right? As long as I had all my expenses paid, I'm there because I knew that it was connections. I knew that it was a way to get myself out there, meet new people, experience things, and have it. And it's not going to cost me anything. I mean, Come on, you're in shape. How difficult is it to hop on a plane and go compete again the following weekend? I used to love competing weekend to weekend. I hated it when there was like a 2 or 3 week gap between shows. That to me was brutal because that's a lot of days of suffering, and I was already in shape, because I never competed out of shape. So to do Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then you're off on Thursday, Friday, and you compete Saturday. That's easy. That's 3 days, 4 days. Big deal. I mean, but to go 2 weeks, you could do a lot. It feels like an eternity. 2 weeks, after you just competed. I remember I did the Junior Nationals in '95, won that, and I had to go 2 weeks before the USA. That was in Denver that year, and I remember like it was yesterday. I got out of the show that Sunday morning. I got up. We drove back from Washington, D.C., which is 4.5 hours, back to New York. Now, the funny thing was that there was traffic on like I-95, and it was bumper to bumper. It was getting to the point where people would get out of their cars, and we were walking on the side of the road because it was like, you're cramping and you just feel crappy. And there's like all these bodybuilders walking on the side. It was like all the guys who were at the show that were on I-95 at the same time. And we're talking, and I'm like, I got to get home because I got to pack because I'm leaving for California tomorrow morning. So Monday morning, I get back Sunday. Monday morning, we get on an airplane. We go to California. I stay at Ed Connor's house. And I'm there from Monday, for like 2 weeks, basically, I'm there. And then I fly to the USA. That 2 weeks, I overtrained myself to death because there's nothing to do in Venice. And I couldn't eat because, I'm dieting, right? So I was just miserable the whole time. And it felt like it was like a month I was there. I was at the gym 3 times a day because I didn't know what to do with myself. And I over-dieted. I probably came 10 pounds too light for that show. But yeah, I mean, from week to week, that's easy to do. Very spoiled people we have. And, they're missing opportunities too. Believe me. Every promoter that I ever met in my career, whether through a guest posing or whatever I was doing for them or competing, I still to this day talk to. And I've done business deals with a lot of those guys. I'm sure Jay, same way.
Yeah. Jay was going out as a young kid. He'd do the same thing. He'd take every weekend.
Every weekend I would go if I had an opportunity to. You guys, while you're young, while you're competing, that's what you do. You network. You get a chance to travel the world. Because once you get to be like Chris and I and you have kids, you ain't going nowhere anymore. As soon as I had my Logan.
I went to the Olympia, but go ahead.
Yeah,
I booked my hotel for the Arnold today.
You do go more places than I do. But once I had Logan, that was it. My travel days are over. Luckily, my wife let me go to Dubai last year because it was, for a good reason, business-wise. But, I mean, really, I don't even want to travel anymore, to tell you the truth. I got it out of my system. I already went everywhere already, so it doesn't matter to me. But I'm saying for these guys that have these opportunities now, take advantage of it. Don't turn down opportunities, even though it sounds like, whoa, I'm dieting, Most of these promoters will accommodate you. They'll have food ready for you. Whatever you need, just tell them, hey, this is what I need. And they understand that you're dieting. They understand that you're competing and that it's you need certain amenities provided to you. They'll do it. They'll give you whatever you need. Believe me, I went to Dubai, Chris, in 1996. I told those guys I'm like, guys, look, I'm on testosterone. What was I on at the time? I was on Parabolin and growth hormone. I need it, because they were already bringing bags of stuff for me, and they went and got everything that I needed, and I had it for they brought me so much stuff that I had to give it back to them. They're like, no, take it with you. I'm like, I can't fly back to the U.S. with all this stuff. So they'll get you what you want. I went into a place that like, what are you eating? What's your dieting? I'm dieting on fish. They brought me a whole fish, Chris. They brought the fish out. They said, is this good? I'm like, yeah, I thought they were going to go back and cut a piece off of it, make me like a whatever, 3/4 of a pound, whatever I was eating at the time. They made me the whole fish. And I ate the whole fish, I think. That's how hungry I was.
You should have prepped over there rather than Gold's Gym where you overtrained.
I should have. But yeah, most of these places, if you go, especially if you're a pro and you're competing, they're going to take very good care of you. Tony Doherty I used to have him on the radio show every year when he used to hold that Australian Grand Prix before it became the Arnold Classic. Mm-hmm. And he used to have, as soon as these guys get off the plane, he'd pick them up at the airport. He'd have tons of food ready for these guys. Chicken breast.
He still does that.
He probably still does.
No, he still does that. It's still first class. Still, yeah. I mean, you go to the Arnold Australia, it's one.
But this is when he was doing it himself, when he had no one else. And there was like 10 people in the show. He would go, what Tony would do is he would fly to the Arnold Classic, and he would try to recruit people. He'd be like, all right, well,
yes, he would.
The weekend after, 2 weeks after is my show. I'll help you out with the airfare. I'll pick you up at the airport. I'll put you up. And he would try to get some top names to come do his show after the Arnold. And every year it was like he was begging people. But people had such good experiences there that they were like, fuck, I'll go back. And then obviously, once it became the Arnold Australia, he didn't have to ask anyone anymore. Everyone wants to do it all of a sudden on their own. But it's part of the cool experience of being, a top-level bodybuilder. And I wasn't even a pro, and I had, people treated me well because they wanted me to come in and do guest posings and seminars. So, guys, don't turn down these opportunities. All right, that's my rant. Hurricane Pro took place this past weekend as well, Clearwater, Florida. I should have driven there. It's only an hour and a half. And you know what? I helped Ahmad. He won the Classic Physique. So he requalified for the Olympia. He'll be going to 2020 Olympia again. He pretty much dominated this lineup. These guys weren't even close to him. But I think it was another missed opportunity for someone to snag a qualification. I'm glad no one good showed up. I'm glad Ahmad grabbed the qualification. He looked great. He would have been tough to beat anyway, but all these other guys, I mean, it's a week after the Olympia. Go requalify. What do you got to lose?
I didn't even know there was a show.
Yeah. Vinny Galante, there's a name from the past, right?
Yeah.
He won he did that, made a little comeback. He did that Pittsburgh Pro Masters Pro. They have Gary Udit has that Pro division.
Mm-hmm.
He won the 40 and over and 50 and over a couple weeks ago, back when he had it in the North American. And then he just did this show. They had a 40 and 50, and I know he won the 50 and over. I think he was third in the 40 and over. He looks great. I told Vinny, I said, Vinny, man, I don't know how you're still doing it after all these years. He's been competing longer than anyone, right? He started as a teenager.
I went to one of his shows when he was a teenager. How's that?
What year did he win the USA? Remember he won the USA that one year? It was
92 or 93?
No, it was after that, I think. I think it was...
No, 95? No, it was 93. It was 93.
Oh, it was 93?
Yeah, yes, it was.
He was young. He was really young, too, right?
Yeah. Believe me, he was phenomenal when I saw him, and I saw him at the Suburban.
He upset a lot of people there, too. A lot of the top guys, didn't see him coming, and unfortunately, it took him a long time, because they didn't give... People don't understand, they didn't give pro cards for winning the USA back then. You want to hear something funny? I was looking. Amanda was looking through some of my VCR tapes. People even know what VCR tapes are anymore. And there was a 95 Atlantic States, and she's like, "Oh, this is the bodybuilding." And she's like, "How come there's like 4 tapes?" I'm like, "Because there was only bodybuilding. There was men's bodybuilding, women's bodybuilding. There was no fitness figure bikini. There was nothing else. That was it. So the women all did bodybuilding, and the men all did bodybuilding, and they broke it up into different classes and stuff like that. But that's how it worked." So I thought that was funny. Nowadays, it's like there's 16 different divisions with age categories and masters, and I don't even know if they had. Did they even have masters back then? They might have had one masters class, right?
No, I don't think they did.
I'm trying to think if they had masters. I mean, they had a masters nationals, but I don't know if they actually at the local shows had a masters. They must have had a masters division, but it probably was like one class, of guys that came out. I'm sure. They probably didn't even have women's masters. They probably didn't have enough people to do it. There was also that Ben Weider Natural Cup run by Ron Haish and Gary Udit this past weekend. Evidently not a lot of natural guys in the.
How many do they have?
Men's bodybuilding was only 2.
2.
Yeah.
2 natural people.
Yeah, and the classic physique, I got to give props to Artie Caldwell, who won it. I had him on the show a couple months back. We were talking about, can a natural guy win a pro show? And he said, I'm going to prove that I can.
What type of pro show?
Well, any kind of pro show. And he did. Artie has been natural for life. He's a guy who will not do any drugs. He won't drink. He doesn't do any kind of drugs he puts in his body. And that's just a personal choice. He's not one of these guys who's on a crusade to stop steroids. That's just my personal thing. I don't think I need it, and I'll prove that I can win a pro card. I remember I interviewed him when he won Dave Lieberman's All Natural Ohio Classic one year. And then I interviewed him after he won actually, he beat Justin Compton at that show, believe it or not. This is when Justin Compton was all natural. And then Artie went and won the Team Universe. That's how he got his pro card. And then he was pretty much done, because what are you going to do, right, after winning Team Universe as a natural guy? But then they created classic physique. And he found another niche for himself. And he's obviously won, and he's qualifying. I think this is an Olympia qualifier too, so he'll probably be going to the Olympia.
9 lives.
Imagine that. Great character too. If you watch the Iron Debate I had him on, he's really good. I was like Artie. He just calls it like he sees it, man. Just down to earth, hardcore, loves bodybuilding. That's what he lives for, He's like a John Hansen.
Give John Hansen a call. Oh, I already said that.
I gotta get John Hansen on back on the show. Did you watch that Olympia, the Olympia preview we did?
The press conference, 2001. You sent it to me.
No. John Hansen and I did a show on the Olympia we talked about the 1980 and 81 Mr. Olympia. And he gave me all the background. You probably know a lot of it, but all the background insights and all the little gossip leading up to it, and Arnold and Franco and all this. It was a great show, a great interview. I don't know, how many people listened to it or watched it, but it was tremendous. He knows all the. I don't even know how he must have a photographic memory, because I probably knew a lot of this. I didn't know a lot of stuff. I shouldn't even say that. I didn't know a lot of the stuff, and I learned a lot from listening to it. I don't even know he knows all the gossip. He probably, because he read all the magazines, and he talked to a lot of these old timers because he got that podcast. By the way, there's some kind of podcast rating system. They rated the podcast, bodybuilding podcast. I think it's like Feedburner or something like that. We were number one.
I was going to say, once we were dead last, remember?
Yeah, we were like 30th once. It was a different one, though. This must have been a legitimate one. No, it's only legitimate because we're first, right?
I knew you get to that.
Yeah. But, that
was 1980 was the year Arnold was supposed to be broadcasting it for CBS Sports.
Right.
And he got there, and he got in a snafu, a little fight with Mike Mentzer, and Mike Mentzer had the first gut. He said, "Mike, your gut was hanging out last year."
Yeah, he was fucking with Mentzer. Exactly.
Yeah, and then he got into Mike Mentzer's head, and he said, "Oh, by the way, I'm competing," and everyone got,
lost their mind. Yeah.
Yeah, they lost their minds, and so he won. And then there was some controversy. And if you look back at pictures, he wasn't at his best, but he probably deserved to win, I think. And then the following year, which was very controversial, Franco Palumbo won.
Yeah, which was another controversial.
With, one leg. And he had the one leg, of course, because he was on Wide World of Sports.
Yeah, we talked about that.
Oh, did you? He was carrying the refrigerator on whatever the strength contest that he used to do.
Yeah.
Arnold probably got the idea for that, for the...
The strongman from that.
Yeah, strongman from Franco. And Franco had... so, you know what? This is true, Dave. I used to look through the magazines back then. So can you imagine? It was 1980.
Yeah.
Mike Mentzer was the first bodybuilder I saw with a gut.
Did he have a gut?
He had very flat pecs. And, Arnold had super round pecs. So I was always offended with the idea that Mike Mentzer had a great physique, because I was a traditionalist and thought, like, chest, shoulders, arms. You got to have chest, shoulders, and arms. And who has better that than Arnold?
Sure.
And so he had flat pecs. And then the first gyno I saw, which I didn't even know what it was Franco the following year in 81.
Right. Yeah, well, that's when Joe Rita ran the sport, things were different, They did stuff, and no one questioned it. Now everyone's a lot more accountable, don't you think?
Oh yeah, well, you have to be. You have to be. I mean, you have to be accountable this day and age, because there's just if there's a poor decision, people just hammer it forever. There's so many mediums to hammer it. We could hammer it on this show. Let's say, the guy who got 19th, the Olympia this year was third, even though there were only 16 guys. And it was, we'd be talking about it all week long and next week. And we'd have people call in and throw this person under the bus and that person. Those days, I could imagine Joe would say, we'll give it to Franco, and we'll put them on the cover of the magazine and airbrush. He had the first airbrush system going.
Oh, did they? No one knows what airbrushing is. Airbrushing is what they had before Photoshop, right?
Yeah.
They physically fixed the picture when it was a picture, not when it was a digital, type of image on a computer. They actually took the picture and fucked with it, spraying, what did they spray on it? Like paint, I guess. I don't know.
I don't know, but that's Muscle and Fitness was such big time circulation and money. I mean, they must have been printing money more than anything else, more than supplements.
Right. And
Joe used to have the ability to airbrush stuff. He would airbrush pictures of himself and, some of the bodybuilders and, Betty and.
Well, I remember when I first started doing some modeling stuff, when I first started competing, I had to get like a couple pictures, portfolio done. So I got all the photos done, and then after the photos were done, they touched them up. And that, I don't know if I think at that point they were still airbrushing. They would actually go and they would remove blemishes like from the pictures. Like if you had a pimple on your shoulder or something like that, or your face, they can make it disappear. Nowadays, I mean, I can do Photoshop. I can go in Photoshop and I can change things if I want to. It's easy, but back then it was like an art, right?
Oh yeah.
But actually, the guy, and I've said this before, the guy who's the greatest Photoshopper of all time is Per Bernal. He's also one of the greatest photographers of all time. But you give Per a picture, he could alter this. Blackman would be like, make his arm bigger, more tricep. So that's why you see some of these crazy pictures on the cover of MD. Those pictures were so altered, but Per was so good at doing it. It looked like it was real,
Yeah, you would have freakazoids on the cover of MD, just peeled out of their mind, right?
Well, no, he would make body parts bigger. Don't you remember the famous picture? He had that picture of himself, and he probably still has it in there, in the editorial thing in the beginning, even though he doesn't write his own editorials. Ron Harris does, or Romano used to do it. And he looks like Superman, like Clark Kent, and his arm looks huge. He looks like he's got a 20-inch arm. Because Per Bernal fucking made that look bigger.
He said recently that you're obsessed with him.
Did you? I loved it.
He bombed our wrap up.
I loved it. What was that about?
I don't know. I just wish you were there, because it was like when Darth Vader had to fly by and throw in his 2 cents. Of course, I react to it. So if we didn't, it happened so quick. I know that you would have been on your toes, and had he.
I would have pulled him into the interview. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's right. You're right. I said, Steve. So you would have grabbed him right by the elbow.
Yeah.
Steve,
what's your opinion on this?
What's your opinion? Well, Kind was not in the show this year. Victor was not in the show.
Hottie had the best glutes on stage. But Brandon, he's got the classic lines. I tell these guys, you got to squeeze in the gym. You don't get dry and hard because of it. You got to squeeze the muscle. Unbelievable. Yeah, did you say their YouTube channel has gained 40,000 viewers, 40,000 subscribers in the last month?
No, I thought you were going to say since we started the show tonight.
Yeah. Except their views of their videos are minuscule. So I find it amusing. And we have more subscribers than everyone now. Yeah, well, because you bought the fucking subscribers. Everyone knows that.
40 million. We're right behind Kim Kardashian on YouTube.
Oh my God. You know what the funny thing is? They're going to come out with some kind of filter. Where they could tell who's tricking
who's screwing with the system,
right? That someone's going to come out with that, and then you'll just apply it to people's websites or YouTube channels.
Yeah, you'll see that there's only 3 people watching.
Yeah, well, they'll be able to show what's legit, not, and he'll have to come up with some cockamamie story as to how come he only really has half as many subscribers as he really does.
Yeah.
Well, Romano said to me, he goes, I take full responsibility for showing Blackman how to fudge numbers, because I guess back in the day when he probably still does it. They used to say, we print 150,000 copies of MD a month. Yeah, they print 100,000 copies, but they only sold like 10,000 copies. So, but they could tell advertisers, we print 100,000 copies. What do they do with the 90,000 they don't sell? They throw them in the garbage.
You send them up to me and I burn it instead of my wood.
Yeah. Give it to Phil. Phil can light a fire with your tenant there. Burn the bed bugs. We bought this new minivan. I think I told you.
Yeah, you told me that.
The other one was like a dud. Lemon law. So I got a new one. And the new one has ants in it.
Ants? Well, I can have my exterminator come down.
Well, So I bring it in. They're like, it was probably parked in the field over there. I'm like, well, it's a fucking new car. So they supposedly bombed the whole thing. But they don't even vacuum up all the dead ants or nothing like that afterwards. So the reason we brought it back was because the entertainment center was freezing, and while you'd be watching it, I'm paying a lot of money I'm paying for a Honda lease, what you should be paying for a Mercedes lease. I mean, for a BMW lease, But I'm doing it because we wanted all the extras and we wanted the space, and so I didn't mind. It's a nice car. It runs nice, but the entertainment center has a glitch in it. And I looked it up online, and the 18s and 19s. So they sold me. They took back the 18. They gave me a 19, which was nice and everything like that. But it has the same glitch now. So And it had ants. So I'm wondering if it's going to go back again. My wife is pissed off as hell, you know. It's a real annoyance. Putting those baby seats back in that car. That's the hardest part.
That's the hardest thing to get them in correctly.
The funny thing is they don't even know what to tell you. They're like, we can't fix it. We don't know what's wrong with it. I said, well, then don't give me another fucking vehicle if it's still broken. Mm-hmm. If you guys can't fix what's wrong with the thing, don't give me another one that still has it wrong with it. You
could have flown Guy Sistinino down and said he was your cousin, and Guy would have gone in there and said you are suffering pain and suffering and needed like a free vehicle for a year.
There you go. I just want the thing to work. I don't even care about the free. I don't mind paying for it. I just want it to work. Nothing works anymore. Everything's broken. Too much tech. We have too much technology. We're too dependent on it. It becomes very easy to depend on the technology, and then what happens is, when it breaks, you can't function.
Could you imagine if like Apple had an issue and iPhones didn't work all over the world tomorrow?
Forget about it. The whole world would shut down. It's unbelievable.
It may be worse economically than like nuclear bomb hitting somewhere.
You're probably right. Probably right.
I'd be, people would be texting you, Dave, saying, you know what, I'm Dave, I'm where are you? I'm 45 minutes out from my show. Should I eat a cup of rice, a baked potato, rice cakes with peanut butter and jam? Where are you?
It's right, Matt. Yeah, I didn't even think about that. Think about it. We communicate so exclusively from the phone with text messaging, pictures, and especially, how many times do you talk to your guys, when you're not at a show on the phone?
Yeah.
I probably talk to my people 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 times a day. And it's because it's instantaneous. They send a text with a picture and a question, I answer it, They get it. We're so dependent. We don't even realize how dependent we are, Chris. You know what? In 20 years, we'll even be more dependent. I don't even think anyone will even do anything manual anymore. Everything will be automatically done by computers. I could really see Terminator happening. The computers will take over.
Well, that's Elon
dumb
Musk
humans
there.
Too dependent on us. We'll take control of the world. That it's making us weak is really what it's making us. It's weak. It's not strengthening us. It's making us weaker and lazier. And the funny thing is, we have no fucking time. All these computers are supposed to be making our life easier, so we have more time to do more things. And it just, what it's doing is it's making us busier.
Well, you're busy doing nothing.
But we're mesmerized by social media, and so no one's face is out of their phone ever, and so they don't do anything. It's like we're a bunch of automatons. We're like a bunch of robots.
The greatest picture I should have taken the other day is me, and which is rare. Never we do this. Me, my wife, and my oldest son went out to eat, and we sat down, and we were in the only table left, corner table of this Thai place, and so we're yapping and blah 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 yapping, and I looked around, and every single a small restaurant, every single person in the restaurant was on their phone and not even talking to the person they were sitting with at the restaurant. Every single one, because we have a rule.
Phones.
If we do, we have the no phone rule. Of course, if it's like Olympia prep, I say, I got to go to the bathroom.
Yeah. Well, you know what we do? As soon as we get into the restaurant, we give our phones to the kids to shut them up, and then so that we can have a conversation with each other. Because if my son doesn't have something to look at, he's running around the restaurant like a lunatic. We don't even want to bring him out anymore. Now I know what my father didn't take us out to eat for so many years. I think I remember him even telling me, "You're not going out to eat until you're 13 or something."
Well, when you were Dave, when you were 10 years old, the in Long Island, the restaurant selection was probably like 1/20th of what it is now.
No, we didn't behave ourselves. We would be maniacs, my sister and I probably was the instigator of all the problems, and I wasn't good. I wasn't behaved well, and my son's the same way. He's a lunatic. He runs around because he doesn't, he thinks it's hysterically funny, and it is for about 10 minutes, and then it's exhausting because you got to keep an eye on him. He's all over the place. And the funny thing is, I want to laugh at most of the stuff he does, and I can't. I have to try to with a straight face yell at him. And he doesn't listen. Everything I have to like threaten him all the time with timeout and it's taking his toys away from him. And I don't think he believes me that I'm going to do it. which is terrible because he doesn't listen because of that. Oh my god! All right, let's take a look. I guess the lineup will. I mean, the Italy show results will probably be up by tomorrow. What's up on the agenda for next week?
In terms of what shows are going on, or what?
Just in the bodybuilding world. What's?
I don't know. It seems like it's. I'm sure something's going on, but nothing. You know what? Post-Olympia, everything is.
I see Reagan Grimes is competing at the Romania show.
Oh yeah, Romania's coming up. That's right.
But that's in November. That's what ways off.
Yeah.
And who else? Let's see what else is going on.
Cody
There's a lot of pro
Montgomery might be
qualifiers
that
coming
show.
up. So, got nationals coming up in November.
That's right.
So, what do you think? What's your take on this whole? They're bringing the Miss Olympia back. Remember, they had a big announcement. They're bringing the Miss Olympia back next year.
I think.
What does that mean for women's bodybuilding? Anything?
Yeah, I think. Yeah, it means everything because when you tag the name Olympia to anything, even though I can't stand those people. No, seriously, when you tag the name Olympia to anything, it elevates what it is you're tagging it to. You know, so yes, the Wings of Strength gives like insane amounts of money, but by definition, with the history and the big weekend and all that stuff, if you have smaller prize money and you have a Miss Olympia competition, then it elevates that to, in terms of prestige-wise, it bumps the Wings of Strength. And, you know, the Miss Olympia, although it's been canceled for the last, how long now, Dave?
I don't know how
many years
How many years has it been missing? That's a good question.
I mean, look at some of the
4 or 5. I don't know.
I mean, you still have to go back to. I mean, Rachel McLish. Yeah, she was like a bikini chick by our standards, but she was like a big deal in her day. Big deal.
Well, that was the only when women bodybuilding back in the day was competing. There was no other women's divisions, so that was
the
it.
History is there. That's my point. The history. We talked about 1980, Mr. Olympia, 81, Mr. Olympia, way back. I mean, you can go back to, you know, Corey had a run. Linda had the big run. Kim Chevesky, you know, had the big run, or short big run. Iris Kyle, Bev Francis never won it, but was, you know, significant. Laura Craval, my ex, you know, significant.
Right.
I mean, there was all kinds of names who either won that title, you know, or pushed Olympians to be even better, and then it just like, yeah, I mean, for a lot of people.
But when you have
the
a girl,
competitors became too muscular, but there's marquee value to the. It's like Sports Illustrated. There is no magazine. There's none. There's no such thing anymore. But the name Sports Illustrated still rings a bell, and it has some prestige, and you know, somebody owns that name somewhere and can do something with it.
My point is, though, when you get these girls back on stage, and most of these women are in their 40s, 50s, and maybe 60s, okay? We're not seeing a lot of new girls come into the fray, so to speak. It's the same girls that have been there for years. Isn't it at some point worth it to say, you know what, let's combine bodybuilding and women's physique? Here's a question. How does Shanique Grant do in women's bodybuilding? In the Miss Olympia?
She gets swamped.
She's not as big as these other girls, but when she stands up on that stage with that standing relaxing with that 18-inch waist.
I know, but it's not an 18-inch waist contest.
Yeah, but you know what?
You know what I mean? It's like it's kind of like, as phenomenal as she is. It's kind of like when someone has a killer physique, but they're not. I mean, Patrick Moore got 10th at the Olympia. I mean, he's as equally wacky V-tapered.
Well, they're saying now they want to change the judging criteria for women's bodybuilding, make it more mainstream. So I mean,
I think they should.
Well, if you do that, now you're making it women's physique, aren't you?
More than you are right, as usual. You should combine them.
I mean,
you can't.
I think it's redundant. I think the women's bodybuilding and women's physique is redundant at this point. It wasn't 5 years ago because there was a big disparity. There was a big disconnect. But the women's physique women have gotten bigger and harder, and it's a women's bodybuilding competition. Let's face it. Nothing wrong with that. I don't mind. The physiques look good. The girls look good. There's not a lot of train wrecks out there, anymore. I think it's at a good point, and that's where the bodybuilding should have stopped. So I mean, you kind of have the two divisions are meeting each other, head on. Combine them, call it Miss Olympia, and let Jake Wood from Wings to Strength put as much money as he wants into the Miss Olympia, and let these women who have muscle and conditioning be celebrated,
Yeah. I want to see Iris and Linda one more time.
Yeah, everyone does. But that's like
it's like a rivalry that's not dead.
No, I know. But the bottom line, Linda's got to be almost 60. Huh? Linda's got to be almost 60 years old.
It's still, you know what? Kamal's 48. I mean, I'm gonna tell you how old Linda is. I'm gonna do the math.
All right.
Maybe
I'll
she
bet
is
she's
pretty
50,
old.
I'll bet she's 56.
You're right. She is older than I thought. Because she was 32 when she won it. I sound like John Hansen, don't I? She was 32 when she first won it, and she won it in 1990. So do the math. I can't. I have no capacity. I had my 1-year-old.
That was almost 30 years ago.
Yes, gosh, she is. So you're right, 62.
She can't be that old. No way.
Maybe she's 58. I don't know.
She's got to be close to 60, though. But the point is that I want to see new talent. Don't you want to? I would love Shanique Grant to be called Miss Olympia. I mean, she really is Miss Olympia. She's not women's physique Olympia champ. I mean, it's a terrible title. She's Miss Olympia. This girl can win 10 years, and she's improving every year. In another 2 or 3 years, Chris, she's going to be 10 or 12 pounds bigger than she is now. That's not going to be Miss Olympia? She's already like 150 on stage. I mean, if she's 160, that's what Iris weighs on stage.
Yeah, well, I mean, maybe you're right. It's all illusion anyway. I mean, the 18-inch waist makes the delts look like Lavrones.
Wouldn't it be a nice battle to see like Iris and her on stage, even though now they're friends? They train together.
Well, interesting, right? She did give. That's right. You know what? Not to offend anyone, but she gave. I thought the best or the better of many good ones. Victory speech.
What did she say? I didn't hear it.
Well, she did. It was very authentic, because people try to get, and it's difficult. You win something big, you want to say the right thing, you want to thank the right people, you want to pivot and present yourself the best way possible. And she was just like matter of fact. I trained really hard. She mentioned Iris as an inspiration.
Yeah, they're friends.
Which I thought was. Nice and interesting, but she talked about her training, and people talk about it in a weird way. Like I can't put my finger. They talk about it.
She's like 24 years old, Chris.
I trained. Yeah,
think about it.
It felt authentic, and that's the bottom line. And
she won 2 Olympias, and she's 24. Chris, can she win easily 10 more? Right?
Well, you never know who comes out of the woodwork.
Well, I know, but I'm just saying the girl hasn't even hit her prime yet.
You know what? Anyone can come out of the woodwork, and always
I hope they do.
But
I hope they do. But that's just going to make that more interesting. Don't you want to see another Laura Lender rivalry? In women's bodybuilding.
Yeah.
Call it bodybuilding, physique, whatever you want to call it. It's Miss Olympia.
The bottom line, Dave. You know what you said? What you said is interesting. Laura Lender rivalry. When you have legit rivalries that are respectful, it uplifts the sport and the category. For all that's said and done about Kai and Phil and the back and forth and the negativity, it was a rivalry that people like. Okay, what's going to happen this year? Even though it wasn't a long rivalry, it was a few shows. What
about when Kim stepped into the equation?
Well, that you had the Linda Kim rivalry. I mean, she. You had you had the Kim Laura rivalry, and then Kim Linda rivalry. And
no one ever thought that would happen. Kim actually pulled a Jay Cutler and beat Linda, at her best.
Yeah, she did.
That's crazy. And then she couldn't be beat.
Yeah, then she retired a winner.
Well, that's
And
when
now
women's
she's
bodybuilding died, and
she's critical of Brandon. She said her legs are better than Brandon's.
The funny thing was she really retired in her prime. If you think about
Yeah,
it,
she did.
because she got
Yes, she
frustrated
did.
with that no one cared about women's bodybuilding anymore. She's like, well, I'm going to kill myself. And then remember she did a fitness show.
And she looked
Couple
crazy
times.
for that.
She lost a ton of muscle. Chad put her on the DMP diet and lost a ton of muscle. And did fitness, and she placed top 5, I think, at the Arnold. If I remember correctly.
She looked the first year she did it. I think she did it just once. She was off the hook. There was
no figure then, right? It was only
transformation.
fitness. She
No.
had to do a fitness routine, which probably wasn't her best, but she did a good job. She worked her ass off. She just wanted to prove that she can do it. And it was all because no one cared about women's bodybuilding anymore. They didn't even want to hold it. You remember Bob Bonham had to hold it at that
Emergency.
championship, whatever
Yeah,
that
yeah,
thing
they
was,
had
the
the
women's
emergency,
extravaganza.
Yeah.
That was Kim's last win. You know,
Yeah, and I think Kim won.
Was
I
Laura
think
there?
Laura was second, and
Yeah.
Iris Powell was third.
You might be right. I think then Iris took over after that, right?
Yeah,
Who won after that? Was that when Juliette Bergman came back?
I think so. Think of that craziness. Juliette Bergman came back like years and years later.
Or did Iris win and then Juliette Bergman came back and won, beat Iris or something like that? Or something craziness like that.
Something crazy. You don't see Juliette around anymore.
She judges, doesn't she? Isn't she?
I don't think
a big European judge.
Yeah, I haven't seen her in years.
Yeah. She's big and she's a big to do in the European scene over there. And then what's her name? Andrula won that one year, right? Remember they split it?
Andrula.
They made 2 divisions. They had like a lightweight and a heavyweight.
Now you sound like Hanson.
What was the year that Valentina Shapika won the heavyweight and Andrula won the lightweight? That was the one year they had 2 separate Miss Olympias. Remember they didn't do an overall?
Yes. Why didn't they?
I don't know. They were trying to fix the sport. They didn't know what to do. They had no idea what to do. So they were trying all kinds of crazy stuff. And then they just said, forget it. We'll just keep it all as one. They put it back to 1 division. It probably should have been 2 divisions, but maybe that's what they should do. Maybe they should make like the women's physique like the lightweight division, and then they have a heavyweight division as Miss Olympia. I don't know. And then do an overall just for excitement purposes. And maybe call the overall the Miss Olympia. I don't know. Make it exciting. Why can't I like when they make it complicated like that? It adds a little more intrigue, right, to the whole thing.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't have the answers. I only have a lot of questions to ask. That's always been my problem. I always have a lot of questions.
Well, questions will lead you to the right ones. Will lead you to the answers.
That's right. That's right. All right. Well, I hear prowling around upstairs, which means my son's up probably. You have a baby to make sure. Do you have a little baby monitor that you monitor
Yeah. Everywhere you go, you hear the whole house is monitored. It's ridiculous.
I'm
You can
afraid
hear
to go.
them.
I have to go find a secret bathroom to go to the bathroom. I'm afraid I'm on the monitor somewhere. It's going to wind up on the internet and be taking a poop in the bathroom or something like that. Someone breaks into your monitors. You know, they say you hear all these computer hackers. You know, they'll show Dave Palumbo taking a crap on the toilet bowl. You know, not that anyone cares, but I'm sure someone will care about it. I saw someone put up a clip of this guy has like this like tribute channel. It's like I'm on every other video on this YouTube. He has all my old stuff on there. I saw there was a backstage posing, you know, at the 99 USA, and then I saw he put something up on Rich Piana competing on stage or something like that. So I was watching it, and it was the USA 99, and I remember the first call out was like Melvin and a couple other guys. Eric Fromm, and then the second call out, I was in the second call out that year. I don't know why, but I was. And it was me, and right next to me was Rich Piana. And so Rich and I are actually posing.
Oh, that's right. Rich Piana. Yeah.
So it's great.
It's funny. I forgot Rich Piana competed.
Yeah. I think I'm going to clip some of that because it was actually, unfortunately, they scan the line. It's not just showing. But when there's certain points where they're just on me and Rich together, like right next to each other. It was him and I posing against each other. It was kind of cool. I didn't even realize that we were right next to each other like that. So sometimes you find this old footage and it's like, whoa, I didn't even know that existed. I never even saw this footage, you know. Because no one puts up second call out footage, you know. I don't even know where it came from, but Probably from those USA Muscle guys, had it on somewhere. And
What happened to the USA Muscle guys?
I don't know. Well, no one cares about that. Everyone shoots video with their iPhone. What do they need that for, right?
Yeah.
Look, you don't need photographers anymore. I mean, aside from the contest photographers, and you don't need anything anymore. Everything can be done on your phone. It's crazy.
Right.
The phones are better cameras than these photographers have. Although I'll say one thing: Ralph Noble, our photographer from the Olympia,
the pictures were great.
Yeah,
Dave, the pictures were tremendous.
His camera, seriously, he showed me a picture of that camera. That camera has got it's probably cost more than people's houses do. I'm like, Ralph, no wonder why you live in a little shack. I said, you spend all your money on camera.
Dave, I know exactly how much it costs because I was with him once.
Yeah.
Doing something recently in the last year, maybe New York Pro or last year's New York Pro. Yeah. And he said, well, I just don't want to leave my camera because it's worth, and he told me, I don't want to tell anyone because then they'll try to steal it.
They'll try to steal it. Yeah. It's seriously, the guy does not make a lot of money. I mean, he drives a garbage truck and sanitation truck. So he doesn't make a fortune, this guy, but he spends loves photography, and he's really good at it. And so that's why I brought him on board, and he's so accommodating and easy to work with. So he loves going to the Olympia and the Arnold and the New York Pro, and he loves shooting those, and he works well with us. He's a good guy. But I mean, that's it. No one hires photographers really to do photo shoots anymore. There's no magazines anymore, so everyone shoots everything with an iPhone. It's crazy.
You know what? At the Olympia, Dave, there was no taping.
But everyone was taping. There's no taping, but everyone's taping.
You want to laugh? You want to laugh? The ushers must have been told, don't let anyone tape. And I was sending a text to someone, and the lady said, the little old lady, you can't tape. I had no idea what she was talking about until the guy next to me said, the guy next to me, Dave, said, I was videoing the prejudging.
Right.
And she said that she was going to have to take my phone.
Oh my God.
So finally they did get some clarity and said, no professional, whoever, if the average fan wants to, I guess.
Sure. They can't stop it. Dan gets it. Dan gets it. The only person who will try to enforce that will be Steve Carroll at the Nationals.
Thank you.
And someone will tell
him
to
it, Dave.
Go screw himself. Someone will tell him. Sure. He's the next guy they got to get rid of. They should give Dan the Nationals too. Let him promote that.
Oh yeah.
Especially
Dan would do a great job with the Nationals.
And he lives right there.
Plus.
He lives right there, and he'd move it out of Miami, guaranteed, right into Fort Lauderdale.
Well, why don't they give it to? If not, Tamer does an unbelievable job. He'd
be great too. Weinberg would be great too.
Yeah, Steve would be. Yeah, have it in New York.
Well, you know what would happen if Dan got the show, he would have Tamer run it. That's what because Tamer's runs these. He ran the Olympia terrifically. I thought So they'll get rid of Carroll. They'll get sick of him. It's all bullshit. I told them I'm not going to another Nationals until he's gone. When he's gone, I'll go back. Because I don't mind driving in for it's only a 3-hour drive for me.
Are you going? Oh yeah. So I'll be at the Nationals.
Yeah, I don't go. I'm boycotting the show until they get rid of Carroll. So not boycotting the show. I'm just boycotting going to the show.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that they deserve me. Because you know what? I'm not going to go there like a secondhand citizen and have to worry about his ridiculousness. When you guys went to the Olympia, did you feel for the first year ever that you actually belonged there and that you were wanted there and that they treated you well?
Excuse me. I should thank Dan Solomon. Thank you, Dan. I looked at my ticket and thought it was a mistake.
Why? Because your seat was so good?
Yeah. I was like, this can't be right.
Yeah, you actually had a great seat. I know.
Yeah.
And then there was a little hiccup, and what happened? I texted Dan, and Dan went and took care of it in 3 seconds, right?
Yep. There was a hiccup, and yep.
So that's the way the press should be treated, and Dan understands that. I know Tamer understands that, and there's only 1 or 2 guys left that they got to get rid of. There's not. It might only be one guy at this point that's running a major show, Steve Carroll, and they'll get rid of him. Believe me. They're probably working on it behind the scenes at this point. He probably has a contract through a certain year or whatever. Once that contract's up, I'm sure we'll never see him again. And that's it. So, back to work. we'll have some coverage this weekend. We'll probably do an iron debate because Sid was so obliterated from the from the Olympia. He couldn't even do Ask Dave this week. I felt so bad for him. He couldn't get out of bed. He's like, Dave, I can't function. My wife won't let me get out of bed. I said, just stay in bed. I said, don't worry about it. Tyler and I will do the Ask Dave segment. Because he was shot. He did he overextended himself so much.
No,
he
did. He did.
Because he wanted to impress.
That was the launching of the superstar Sid, because Sid has he's the Mean Gene whatever.
Okerlund.
Who's the WW guy? Mean Gene Okerlund.
Yeah, you know what it is? Yeah, Sid. A lot of people didn't understand why I brought it.
Dave, here's me. I will talk in circles, and I will confuse everyone and myself. And Sid will say, so what you're saying, Chris, is that Kamal was tighter in the prejudging than everyone else. And I said,
yes.
Yeah, that's probably what I should have said.
Well, you know what it is? When I first brought him on, people thought I was crazy. They're like, who the hell is this like Pakistani guy that Dave's got, doing bodybuilding, And I just knew I saw his talent that he had there, and I knew he was a hard worker. And it's hard to find people that are good workers. And I knew he liked to announce. And I knew I would, once he learned the bodybuilding world, that I would bring him into it as a person who can help us with the TV program. And he did a great job. And so I thanked him a lot and was sending him a little bonus check. But yeah, you know what? It's nice to have someone who can step up to the plate when you can't go. Like if I can't go, or you can't go. Or this, it's nice when you have redundancy in your company, and that's so he really proved that we were able to do some great coverage there. And I want to thank him, and I want to, of course, thank Chemical Warfare for sponsoring all our coverage of the Olympia, Chris, because without them, we wouldn't have happened. So we have a lot of good people that believe in the stuff that we're doing and the programming that we're doing. And sometimes, I get caught up in this whole, I have to copy everything that everyone else is doing. Or this one comments on Ramy having a pimple popped on his butt that I got to do a video on it too. And then every other person out there's got to do a video on it. I don't like to do that. There's certain topics I do cover, whether other people do or not. I try to cover it from my own perspective. But you can get caught up in that rat race if everyone has to cover the same story. It's like the old black man, interview Sugar Sean. Use the headline, Sean Sugar doesn't sugarcoat anything, even though we already used the same headline. I can't do that. Drive me crazy.
It goes back to Shanique Grant's speech, which was authenticity. Mm-hmm. Do what you do best and what you like to do.
Yep, I agree.
You don't have to copy anyone. My son asked me something today about, he's at that age. 15 can be an awkward age. I said, I know it's almost impossible, but just be yourself. Be authentic. That's what people like.
Yeah. And on that authentic note, we're out of time, Chris. So I'm authentically going to end the show. Until next week, remember, with Heavy Muscle Radio,
the truth hurts.
Good night, everyone.